Hi everyone. My name is Lucas Ennouchi. I am a French software engineer. I've been working with Salesforce for the past 8 years now around Salesforce technology. Started in Paris as a consultant and then going to Montreal for a few years, doing various jobs, developer, sales engineer, and ending up being a Salesforce technical architect with these two certifications, Salesforce application and system architect. On the path to start to trying to get the certified technical architect now. I recently moved in London in last August, where I joined a large enterprise here in the financial sector. And I'm also very pleased because I had the chance to join this London community around Salesforce, which is amazing. So today I wanted to talk to you about the journey of my company and me with DX packages at the enterprise scale. So this is a project. This presentation is a testimony of everything that we had to face during this project and everything that we learned from it. And I really wanted to share that with you because it is not as trivial as that to migrate to DX packages. And I hope that if the people that are wondering if they should adopt this technology will benefit from this presentation. So the agenda for today for this presentation is first I'm going to talk to you about our life before DX packages, where we were before adopting DX packages, and especially the trouble we had before, and the issues that we were facing. Then I am going to talk about our motivation to go with DX packages, priorities, the benefits that we wanted to get from it, and what were our initial plans for this migration. Eventually, of course, I'm going to tell you about the real story, what really happened to us. And as you can see, I talked about this utopian plan because, of course, it did not went as planned. And so I really want to give you this testimony because we learned a lot from this project, and I think it is not something that you can guess without any experience with it. And so this is what I wanted to share with you today, and where we are standing now with the X packages. So the life before packages on the development side, maybe you're going to recognize some of the thing that I'm going to talk about if you did not adopt SFDX yet, but you've got this a giant repository where you've got all the code, the customization, the configuration of your environment into a single folder where everything is mixed. All the features, all the apps are mixed together. And it is very hard to it is very hard to have reusable code. It is hard to have pure unit testing and to have segregation of features. We very uh, had trouble with that, and it's not scalable. This is a situation that is not scalable when you work in a large enterprise with dozens of developers working on the same repository. And it goes was the same with the way we work in development environment, which are the sandboxes, where like you have these shared sandboxes with you, where you have like multiple developers working on the same environment, and if someone breaks the environment, well, it breaks it for everyone, so everyone needs to wait for the fix and then continues like that. There's a lot of it's everyone is there's a lot of conflict between developers, and due to having these shared sandboxes, and even if you are lucky to have like a large amount of sandboxes, at one point you will try to automate your testing. You will try to have some CI and CD pipeline, but with tools like Ant, Jenkins, and stuff like that, even if they are very powerful, you're limited to a single environment where you deploy the work of a developer. It is deploying to sandbox, and then another developer deploys that, and you have this automation testing that is queued after the other job, and then you've got this queue building up of jobs for automation testing, and it's not very efficient. So that were the main trouble that we had with on the development side. Then on the build side, if you're still working without a SafeDX, that means that you are working with this single file, which is a package XML, where you do a full deployment, or you do only changes deployment, but you need to declare everything in this single file. And again, with dozens of developers working together, it's very hard to maintain. It causes a lot of merge conflicts, and it's very hard to put the responsibility on someone, because everyone works on the same. And if you're working on the changes way, then that means that a developer always need to track his development to put the specific file modified to this package XML. So there's a lot of work involved with on the build side. Sorry. Then on the deployment side, there is the main issue that we had with it is you release everything within the same deployment. You may have hundreds of Jira's for this deployment. You may have a lot of features developed, a lot of developers that build very amazing features that you want to be released on for this specific day. But one feature is causing the deployment not to happen because of an issue, of a test failing, anything. And this is very hard, because it is very hard, pretty impossible to roll back just these specific features that causes everything to be blocked. You need to to work a lot just to roll back these specific features. And that's why we're saying that you only are strong at the weakest link in the chain, because if only one feature fails to deploy, then your entire deployment is blocked. And that was very hard for us, very hard for us, especially when you have a lot of stages and you have a lot of environment. When you go from QA to SIT to UAT to prod, at one point it's very, very hard to just roll back just a single feature. So this is these were like the main reason why we wanted to go with SFDX first. All the issues that I talked about can be fixed or resolved with SFDX. SFDX provides a very flexible way of organizing your code into subfolders, a very easy way to deploy just a subfolder without declaring the metadata into a single package XML file. You don't need to do that. You just deploy the content of a folder, and it's very more efficient and easy to do. And you don't have shared sandbox. You can work with Scratch.org, which is very, very easy to create and delete. And if you're a developer, you can isolate your work in a specific Scratch.org, which is a very more efficient way of working. And we really, really, really wanted to go into this path. But we also wanted to go further than SFDX, because as you can imagine, the size of the company I work for, they have a lot of Salesforce environment, a lot of Salesforce orgs. And I'm not talking about sandbox, I'm talking about prod environment. And you want to be able to share some code. You want to be able to build this library of components, this library of features, this library of application, to install them in different department, different divisions of your company, and in different environment that doesn't have at all the same configuration. But you want to be able to share this UI component. You want to be able to share this very powerful framework, so that we kind of work on the same pattern here. And that's why we thought that DX packages were the best vehicle for that. And so the first priority that we had with DX packages was this sharing, building this library of components that can be used by multiple production orgs. But there were also another priority coming from the business, which was to merge several orgs together. And this is another reason why we wanted to adopt DX packages, because Salesforce was selling DX unlocked packages as the best way to do migration, to take some metadata from an environment and to migrate that to another environment. And so you use that as a vehicle for your migration. And so we were very, very, very keen to use this new technology released by Salesforce a few years ago. So these were all the benefits that we perceived at the time. First of all, we really wanted to have our team to be working around products and not projects, and this was very, very interesting because you gain responsibility of a feature, and this is what we wanted for them. We wanted them to be responsible for a feature, and we found that very, very nice because I we started to have custodian of packages, and if your packages was failing, well, uh, we knew who to talk to resolve that. And around each package, we had this custodian, this main developer, this main QA, and this main business people looking after the package. And we still do, and that's one of the uh, very nice benefit of it. The the obvious benefit of adopting packages is also the versioning. The versioning is very nice because you know exactly what you're deploying, what you deploy. You can roll back, and it helps a lot with change management. CI/CD automation, definitely. We you work on a package. You don't have to deploy the entire repository. You work on on a single package. We knew we could create the scratch org, try to install the package. Does it work? Does it work? Does it not work? Try to run the test around a single package very easily. And CD, okay, we have this package, we can just install that to our Q environment as soon as it's merged. It's on the release branch. This this is very, very nice for automation. Decreasing lead time with more agility and efficiency. I talked about that in previous. Definitely. Um, you gain a lot of time with packages. You just run install package command, and that's it. You install a package version, it's installed, that's it. You you create a logical set of code and customization related to a feature and an app. That maybe was one of the most of the benefit that we were looking forward to, because it is very hard to work with this single repository, this single folder where everything is gathered together and doesn't have any logic. Here, when we started working with packages, we started working with creating their own repository for each package. And so in a single repository, you have only code that is logic, uh, that is going to fulfill a single feature, to develop a single feature, a single app, and you know exactly the scope of your repository when you look at it. Um, the the last one is this is much more easier to adopt an agile model with more frequent and independent release. You don't have to wait for your entire sprint to be finished so that you can deploy that to the second stage. Every time you create a package version, boom, you can go to the next stage, and you can you can create package version independently, you can deploy them independently, and that's amazing. And it helps you to adopt an agility at a larger scale and more efficient way. um, I want to talk to you now about the initial proof of concept that we had with packages. So here I draw a package as a satellite because it's something that's now you have to imagine that a package it's not something that is that is part of that lives within an environment. It's outside of the environment, and it's like the satellites. That's if these planets are my environment in my company, these satellites look after different environment, and they can be installed in different environments, and they don't rely on a specific environment that just lives outside and can be installed with them. And so we wanted to see how easy it is to create a package, how easy it is to create a package version, how easy to install this package version and stuff like that, and can we install that in different environment. And the initial proof of concept was validating all this. We did that in a week, and everything went smoothly. We designed it properly, and it is a package that is still used. It is independent of everything, and we we were able to demonstrate to the management that it is a viable alternative to status quo. So that was our main purpose of it. And so with that, with these, after this proof of concept, we decided to go with packages. So how now going to tell you the real story behind that, because yes, everything seems beautiful on the paper, and packages is sold by Salesforce as the best way to create containers for a logical set of code and migration and stuff. But in the reality, I'm telling you, you need to be very, very, very careful. And we faced we faced a lot of issues that we did not expect. We've, we were at a point where we were like, actually now the packages that we created seem to be a real burden for us. How can we keep working with them if it's still such an issue? It seems that we don't master them. It seems that there's something wrong with it. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to try to give you all the lesson that we learned, because it is still something, a tool that is very, very, very powerful. But if you don't design them properly at the beginning, if you don't know what's going to happen before around your DevOps team, then you will have a big challenge with them. So we had two approaches. We had the approaches of going with the priority two. I don't know if you remember, which was migration. So we wanted to focus on the migration first, and so we wanted to create to package a single to create a single package to migrate to package everything in our environment to migrate that. And it is definitely faster, but we did not go with that because it also not going to validate the other priority that we had, which were to divide this repository into smaller packages. And so we went with the approach B, which were to first identify the layers of packages, framework, data models, application, to identify the dependencies, and to start creating packages one by one and deploy them one by one. And doing this iterative work where you create a package, you install that, then you create another package, you install that, and stuff. So we really wanted to divide our our code into very, very small packages. So this is what we did. This is what we did. Here you see that we created packages from the framework. So we had like the test framework, we had the trigger framework, we had other framework. Each one has its own package. And then we started to create the packages for the data models, accounts, opportunities. That went very well. And then we created package for our application. So we had a huge application. We knew the scope of it, and so we wanted to create the packages for this application. But what actually happens is, okay, we've got this piece of code and we don't know where it sits. Is it part of these apps, of this application? Is it more a framework? Is it something that lives outside of the of these layers? Where should I put it? Well, we started to put it outside. And we've got all these other satellites, all these other packages that we started to create that did not belong to an application layer or to the framework layer, but we needed to create a package for it. And okay, some of the code that we had, we're going to put that in this application layer, and we'll see later what happens. But that's that's where when the problems began. It's you're starting to create a lot of packages, and you're starting to feel that it's going to take more time than you expected, and the business is going to put some pressure on you as well, because you need to deliver. And you've got all these packages, and there is something that you did not realize at all, is that Salesforce has a very particular way to work with package dependencies. It does not work as if you're familiar with Node, for example, where you declare just one dependency, and if this dependency are other dependencies, you don't care about this one, you just declare the immediate dependencies. Well, Salesforce DX packages does not work like that. With Salesforce DX packages, you need to declare all the dependencies, even the transitive one. And that's why you end up with something like that. This is a graph of the dependencies that we ended up with. So you can imagine the complexity that we had when we, on the first iteration of the packages that we created. We created more than 20 packages. We had packages that had more than 15 dependencies. So imagine when you want to set up a Scratch org. You want to set up a Scratch org, and you want to install a package that has 15 dependencies. That means that you need to get the ID of all the package version of all the different dependencies and install them one by one before you actually can install your package. So a Scratch org that should be set up in 3 minutes takes now 1 hour to set up, if you're lucky, and if you know where to find the package version. So it's starting to be more complex and increasingly complex, and you did not expect that at all. We did not. And so you start seeing Jira stories that are impacting for packages at the same time. And so you've got your developer that needs to work on 4 different repositories, and then to test his story, he needs to be sure that the dependencies have been installed before he can actually test his story. That is what we call the burden here. It is very hard to when you got to this point, there were no return, and it got very bad for us. The On the build side, you're going to notice that your developers take more time to talk about packages than to develop features. You're going to notice that the most used word for them became version, package. Who is in charge of creating the package version? When do I create a package version? Should I create for each feature? Should I create when we merge features together in the release branch? What version number should I use? Everything is new to them. Everything is new to you, to your DevOps team. And these are questions that you've never asked before. And if you did not prepare that, your developers are going to spend a lot of time on that. And that is dangerous. That is dangerous because they will start losing motivation, because developers want to develop features, not to create packages. Packages also have their own specificities. You can't have circular dependencies. You can't have a package that depends on another package, and this other package depends on the first package. This creates a circular dependency. You can't have that. You're going to create models where you have like callable interface and stuff like that. You're going to have people that are going to need to handle package errors that you never encountered before. You can't create packages that share the same metadata, that have duplicate metadata. You can't install a package with a metadata that belongs to another one, even if it's not a dependency. If you want to move metadata from one package to another, that's another process. That's hard. And then you go to the release side of it, where um, you're going to ask yourself, okay, I deployed this version, but what is actually included in my version? There's no Salesforce page where it says, okay, in this version I have that, I have that, I have that. So you need to prepare your source control to use tags and use your version ID to tag your branches and your commits. And you're going to ask okay, for this release, what version should I release? Who's going to tell you which version should I release? How are you going to merge versions? Because if you have one developer that works on a version and another developer that works on the same package creates another version, that's going to be hard to merge. That are all the questions all the issue that we faced. And then we needed to adapt all the CI/CD. So the lesson that we learned from it is, first of all, you need to think as an ASV. As an ASV, you need to think about it. You need to keep in mind that a package needs to be shared. A package needs to be shared, and thus it has to be standalone. A package can't include environment-specific metadata. It can't include profiles. It can't include layouts. It can't include everything, flexi pages, stuff that are very environment-specific. It has to be environment-agnostic, because it has to be able to be generic enough to be able to be installed in multiple environments that does not have any link to each other. That means that you're going to work a lot on refactoring your test class, because if you have a test class that is depending on a certain profile, this profile is not part of another environment. So this test will fail in another environment. So you need to think about feature management using permission set, custom permission. You will have a lot of either refactoring if you're migrating from the ancient world to SFDX, or if you're starting from scratch with packages, to design your package first before you start writing some code. The other advice I would give you is not to create too many packages. Don't create a package for each app, each features. You need to create, if, for example, the test framework, the trigger framework, we didn't have to create two packages. One framework package is enough because we're never going to use one framework without the other one. So why do we need two packages? One is enough, and it's going to ease your life, because don't don't forget that you're going to you're going to create package version for each of them. So if you duplicate, if you multiply the number of packages, you're going to multiply the work to create package version, and it is a lot of work. So if you have to, what we did, we started to make all of our packages on environment agnostic, but that's also mean that we migrated everything that is environment specific to what we call this happy soup. This happy soup is something that is unpackaged, that you put on top of your, that you deploy on top of your packages, and this is where belongs all the customization of your packages. A package is generic, but it must also be customizable. It must behave differently in different environment depending on what you want to do with it. So this is when you start working with custom metadata types, and this is how you tweak your package. And the happy soup that you put on top, this is where you put the metadata type records, where you say, okay, I want this package to behave like that for this environment specifically. The other lesson that we learned are around the DevOps. It's going to shake up your DevOps. You need to be prepared for that. Working with packages, it's not the same at all as working with ends. And it's not the same at all as working with SFDX. So you're going to see that with SFDX, Salesforce is providing a lot of CI and CD scripts. You're going to they have a lot of repositories where you have sample script to deploy to a squad show or can run the test and everything, but you actually don't have a lot around CI/CD with DX packages, and it does not work the same. So my first advice with you is to be very, very prepared for that. First of all, try not to involve your development team with package related tasks. You need to have a separate operational team that's going to deal with packages. The developers deal with development. The operational team deals with deployment and stuff. So you need to allocate, and this is what we do. This is what at the end we did, and this is how we got better with packages, and this is where we got to a point where we have 100% of our packages that are automated, CI/CD automated, and because we run a dedicated program to DevOps, a dedicated program to write scripts, to retrieve package version IDs from dependency tree, to deploy and test packages in empty scratch row, to auto-create package version and install them, to tag package version ID, to check if a version is promotable, to tag Jira when a package has been installed, stuff like that. It is a lot of work, but it is needed. It is needed. I'm telling you that you can't bypass that. Otherwise, your development team is going to is going to do this work, and they're going to lose track of what motivates them. So to conclude with this presentation, I wanted to add the question, like, if we were to start again, what we would have done. The first thing is do not mix SFDX and DX packages. The first lesson is, please make sure that you master SFDX first, because SFDX gives you a lot of benefits to divide your code into into subfolders, to be very flexible in the way that you do deployment and stuff. So this is, if I were to start again, I would migrate my end repository to SFDX folder, and I would have done the migration with SFDX and not with packages. The package is not only a vehicle, okay? It's not something that you don't only use that to migrate one metadata to from an environment to another one. It's also to be shared. And just putting some metadata that you have right now, your code, that is likely to be environment specific with relation to certain profiles, relation to certain other environment specific stuff. If you put that in the package, your package is wrong, because your package cannot be deployed to another environment like that. So that's why you need to create subfolders for features in your SFDX format, and you start feeling about, okay, this subfolder can be packaged. This subfolder seems to be environment agnostic, seems to be generic enough so that I can maybe start packaging it and sharing it with the entire company. And that's what I would have done. I would have done maybe in a more slowly pace, and just working with packages after the migration. In parallel, if I knew that it would it would modify the entire CI/CD automation that we had, and impact the script that we already had in place, I would definitely have started that earlier. I think this is something that we need to start from the beginning. It is to prepare the CI/CD script and pipeline from the beginning and not at the end, so that we don't ask the developer team to work with packages. So that was it for me. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. And if you have any question about this, feel free to connect with me. I am on Twitter. I also write article on Medium, especially on this subject. Actually, I have two pieces of article that goes more in depth about this subject, with examples and how, for example, to work with feature management, some sample scripts with DevOps. You will see more details about this subject. And eventually, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you have my profile here, so feel free to connect with me. Thank you.